If you're someone preparing for FMGE exam, listen closely. This is Dr. Prachi Goyal and I cleared my FMGE exam in December 2025 with 185 marks, and in this video I'm going to tell you the top 5 non-negotiable pillars that made it happen for me, especially the fifth one, which is the exact mistake that cost most students their first attempt. Starting with our pillar number 1 source, one truth. Let's admit it, we have grown up surrounded by an overwhelming flood of content. Right from the start of our preparations, at every single step, we are bombarded with endless lectures, massive note stacks, and a never ending cycle of materials. It is exhausting, and honestly, it can feel impossible to escape. During my medical college years, my primary resource was Maru. But when I began my dedicated FMG preparation, I made the conscious decision to switch to cerebellum. Once the classes started, I constantly fought this intense nagging urge to run back to Marrow to rewatch the old videos. But let's be realistic. Trying to rewatch them would have cost me the time I desperately needed for other subjects. And in the FMGE, my friends, the goal isn't is to master a single field. It's about having a functional grasp of all 19 subjects. To battle that FOMO and quiet the anxiety, I found a loophole. Whenever the urge to go back hit me, I wouldn't watch videos. Instead, I would open Marrow and prepare a custom module of questions and solve it. Scoring well assured me that my foundation was intact, there was nothing to miss out on, and I was exactly where I needed to be. Now, does sticking to your source means doing all 19 subjects from one place? Not necessarily. See, everyone has a different perspective about this, but I'll tell you my real life example. I'd already revised ophthalmology and ENT 3 to 4 times using Maro during my college years. I was deeply familiar with those notes. When I tried switching to cerebellum for those two specific subjects, the new teaching style didn't really resonate with me, not because of the faculty but because of the personal alignment. So, I kept Maru strictly for those two subjects, but I didn't fall into the double source trap. I did not rewatch them on cerebellum. I just solved questions from cerebellum to align with my current prep. And for the remaining 17 subjects, I trusted my primary source completely and blindly. The bottom line is simple: pick your source, trust it completely, and let your question bank, which we will break down in pillar 2, give you the confidence to move forward. Moving on to the pillar number 2, why Q banks matter more than you think. We all often fall into the same trap of being completely preoccupied with PYQs and PYTs. Don't get me wrong, previous year questions and topics are highly important, but they are only half the battle. The other half is bridging the gap between knowing a fact and actually using it. That is where the QBank becomes your greatest asset. Let's be real. Nobody is going to hand you the exact same question year after year. We all know the reality of this exam. With every passing session, the level gets tougher, more clinical, and increasingly unpredictable. Plus, we have to acknowledge that the PYQs are just memory based reconstructions by students leaving the exam hall. They aren't official papers. This is why you must move beyond passive review. You need to actively solve QBank modules that target those core PYT topics or the concepts. While your classes introduces you to a concept, the QBank forces you to actually apply it and in turn sharpens your clinical problem solving skills. The FMG is no longer just about the rote memorization. It is fully on par with NEET PG, often demanding intense scenario based reasoning. During my preparation with Cerebellum, we had ENTs, the exams and discussions, curated by our faculty after every single subject. And trust me, those sessions taught me a lot more than the actual long lectures. Why? Because they force your brain to shift instantly from a passive learner to an active thinker. You learn to tackle difficult question sets without any fear. More importantly, it teaches you the true art of MCQ solving. It's not just about knowing the right answer, it's about learning how to eliminate options and how to make the right choice when you're down to a 50-50 split. Ultimately, the final exam day isn't just about how much information you have packed into your head, it's about how much of it you can successfully apply when the clock is ticking. Pillar number 3, protect your mindset. Let's step away from the books for a moment and talk about something just as critical, your mindset. This is something you have to carry from the very first day of your preparation right until the moment you walk out of the exam hall. Even on the days when everything seems to be completely falling apart, you must talk positively to yourself. Look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have had so many days where I deeply doubted my preparation. There were days I would literally burst into tears in the middle of a lecture, questioning my worth and wondering if I was actually on the right track. But never, and trust me when I say this, never did I start or end the day on a negative note. No matter how brutal the day was, I would buckle myself up at night and promise to try harder the next morning. I truly believe that in this journey, you always have a choice. You can choose to be the victim or you can choose to be the warrior. The decision is yours and yours alone. And always remember this, showing up on the days when you absolutely do not feel like studying will be the one sure thing that makes you the most proud of yourself later. It's easy to study when you are motivated, it takes a warrior to sit down when you are overwhelmed. Pillar number 4, the truth about GTs or the Grand Test. Let's talk about the most feared yet most vital part of this entire preparation, Grand Test. I would be completely lying to you if I said I loved giving GTs. In fact, I used to fear them the most and they were literally nightmares to me. But somehow I forced myself to show up anyway. To give you some honest perspective, in my very first GT, I only had the patience to solve 150 questions out of 300 and I scored a mere 83 marks. And the reason it wasn't just about the knowledge, it was because I simply didn't have the habit of sitting for that long and enduring an exam. But by consistently showing up, GTs gradually helped me build that mental focus and I eventually ended up scoring 160 in my first mock exam. I used to look at GTs as some sort of final scorecard, but trust me when I say this, they are not. A GT doesn't define your ultimate result, it simply tells you where you currently stand on your own preparation path. You don't need to compare your scores with anyone else. It is your personal progress meter and yours alone. Ultimately, the final exam day isn't just about how much information you have crammed into your head. It's about training your brain to work under pressure for hours without getting completely exhausted. And the only way to build that stamina is to face the GTs early on. Pillar number 5, surviving the square one panic. Now let's talk about the fifth and most important pillar. The one thing that is constantly underestimated by almost every aspirant, revision. I made a massive mistake here, and I'm sharing this because I truly hope you won't repeat it. During our preparation in Cerebellum, the schedule was divided into three labs. Lab 1 was all about in depth subject learning, while Lab 2 and 3 were dedicated entirely to revision. During Lab 1, I was scoring decently well, and honestly, I felt pretty confident that I was on the track to crack the exam. But the moment Lab 2 kicked off, reality hit me like a brick. I realized that more than half of what I had studied was completely gone. Questions I used to solve in seconds were suddenly taking me minutes, and I was still left confused. It literally felt like I was right back at square one. I tried my best to keep up with the fast paced lab to revision classes, but the guilt of forgetting everything completely took over. I could not focus on the lectures and I couldn't focus on the notes. I was deeply disturbed. That's when I had to make a hard, executive decision for myself. I stepped away from the live revision schedule, went back to my original lab 1 notes, and just started reading them over and over again on my own. It ultimately cost me the faculty structure lab 2 and 3 revisions, but it taught me a lesson I will never forget. Please, please, please prioritize spaced repetition from day 1. You might feel like you have mastered a concept today, but trust me, you will forget it faster than you think. If you find it hard to just sit and read through passive notes repeatedly, create and solve custom modules instead. Let the question show you where your gaps are and then go back to revise those specific topics. So these were the 5 non-negotiables that took me from 83 on my first GT to clearing the FMG on my very first attempt. It wasn't an easy journey, but if you commit to these strategies, I promise you that you can pull this off too. If this video gave you some clarity or comfort today, please consider subscribing to the channel. Good luck with your preparation, study hard, and my absolute best wishes to each one of you. You've got this, doctor. Before you go, drop a comment below and let me know what is the number one hurdle you're facing in your preparation right now. Or if there is a specific concept you want me to break down next, just let me know. Thank you. This is Dr. Prachi Goyal signing off. See you in next one.